just so in need of a Christmas magic movie that's not a Lifetime, like really the divorced, woman moves back to her hometown and
Yeah.
meets the guy from high school and the one that got away. It's like, no.
Yeah, I know.
And it's Eddie Murphy. It's like
It's
Eddie Murphy, family, Christmas comedy. Trifecta, bro. Like you're done. You know
oh,
what I mean?
without
And then
doubt.
it's funny, and then you got like Nick Offerman in there, and you got Industrial Light and Magic doing really great, like special effects stuff, and really good performances in there. I'm working opposite Tracy Ellis Ross playing her boss, and she was awesome. Like talk about someone who's quick and facile. It's like I was like, she just didn't know what she was in for.
Yeah.
Like she's like, I don't know who's this fat bald guy. What's the story? And I'm like. I deal with the likes of Danny McBride,
Yeah.
John Goodman. Like, there's nothing you can throw at me that I'm not going to be ready for.
Oh,
And the
absolutely.
fact that I get to work with Reggie Hudlin again, I worked on with him on Safety for Disney Plus,
Right.
and we just got a shorthand now. Like, he directed Peter Berg and Samuel Jackson in The Great White Hype. So every time that I'm together, and I forgot to do it last night because I just wanted to, leave him alone and let him do his director thing. But we usually take a picture together and I send it to Peter Berg. They're like, Reggie. So there's this like 6 degrees of Peter Berg kind of going on. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I watched the movie last night and it's fantastic. It's one of those things where you're going to watch it like, it could be one of those cult Christmas movies, and you got the Christmas bad girl, you got the bad guy and, it's got all the elements. And then, a dad trying to do the best thing and,
Yep.
not embarrass your kids, but, also kind of show, and I think like the worst language in there is like ass. I think that's about as good as it gets. So you kind of like, all right, anybody can kind of watch this,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
enough, like it's kind of fills all the demographics. Like there's a couple of jokes and stuff in there that are 100% for the adults. No two ways about it. Will go right over the kid's head. They don't even get the references. And then there's stuff for teens, and it's good. It's funny. It's a very funny movie.
I feel like, there hasn't really been a lot of theatrical Christmas movies that have come out the past couple years, but I will give that to the streamers, right? I feel like they have been really good about providing us with a lot of good holiday movies. And I feel like this one is lined up to be a classic because,
Yeah,
like you
it's
said,
right.
it's hilarious.
There's no reason Amazon is investing these kind of resources and, I mean, just the ILM, including ILM in this thing. People do all those stuff for Star Wars, and that's
Yeah.
and the fact that we did this movie in 9 months. That's another like amazing thing. This cast, all the technical stuff of it. Yeah, but it's MGM, it's Imagine Entertainment. You got Brian Grazer, Ron Howard,
Yep.
and then you have Amazon and the reach of Amazon and the fact that they're doing something different that I think is really smart. This is kind of the new hybrid, which is releasing the film theatrically, and they did it in New York and LA, in one theater in New York and LA, and both
Right.
sold out from the minute they did it. Because
Right.
it's also like, I saw Napoleon. This is funnier
Yeah.
than Napoleon. And Napoleon's
yeah.
pretty funny. I'll just let it. Napoleon is. There are funny moments that you're
There
like,
are.
wow,
There are. Sure.
wow. A few cringe moments, but for the most part, good and a good little history lesson. I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But like this is funnier.
Yeah.
Funnier than Napoleon. Like,
There you go. There's the promo right there.
Like put that on the marquee.
So let's tell everybody what it's about, though, because it's an interesting
Yeah.
premise. So, and I think everybody actually goes through this at some point in their life if you're into Christmas. It's about a neighborhood competing. Like, who's going to have the
It's
best
based-
decorations,
It's
right?
based on a real neighborhood in El Segundo.
Yep.
A wonderful writer named Kelly Younger. I'm familiar with his work for years. My theater company produced his plays. So it was really like another kind of weird full circle thing in terms of like, I started a theater company from members of a New York company in LA
Right.
back in 92. And, I was an artistic director and we did, hundreds of play readings and stuff. And Kelly's work just, was like one of those writers that just kind of popped up along
For
with a
sure.
whole bunch of other writers. And so it was just this weird, like, kismet of like Kelly Younger, holy moly. And he's like, James, EST, like we just kind of connected the dots.
Yeah.
So Yeah, the premise is that, like there is a real neighborhood in El Segundo that like does that one-upsmanship, just
Yeah,
kind of like, like one kind of, the keeping up with the Joneses, like, and so
exactly.
it has that kind of like competition element to it, who has the most money, who has the most, and so there is this, and then of course at the end of the day, there's that family thing of like, look, individually it's not going to work out. Collectively as a family, this is how life is done. And
Right.
that's a dual thing that I think is like really kind of timely right now. I mean, so many people came out of that screening last night going, "Thank you. We need this movie so badly right now." Because again, we're in the middle of, two wars that are going on. It's sad that we're at a time where people that are trying to gain power are pointing out the things that are all the things that we have that are different, and no one's talking about the things that we have in common.
That's
And I'm
right.
always, when I'm coaching people, I'm always kind of going like, you have to look for the human universals of the scene. What is this scene about? It's about family. What's this movie about? It's about family. It's about love. It's about competition. It's about expectations. It's about being a good father.
Yep.
It's about, keeping up with the Joneses. It's about, love, and so, there's that there. So I think it's coming at a time where we're so looking for something, a little bit of holiday magic,
That's right.
and to not so much point out the things that make each other different, because that's how weak people rule,
That's right.
is they just point out, I'm a big, you know scientist is great. We have the same molecules in our body as each other. Like there's let's go beyond race. Let's go beyond culture. Let's go beyond, colonization of, of the world, and that's really what this is what's the difference between an occupation and a colonization? It's
Right. Yeah.
so, for me, it's like, I think this is a nice little release gap, like,
Right.
just taking the air out of all the hyperbole of, the blues and the reds and the us's and the thems and the, talking about together, like I think
Yep.
we're coming off of Thanksgiving, where it kind of reminds us, and again, I think if we look at historically, I think we talked about this before. It's like, coming off of the First World War was a world war and a pandemic. And on the other side of that was the Roaring '20s.
Right.
Some of the greatest pieces of literature were created, some of the greatest thinkers of our time, the greatest music, the greatest stories were told, the great musicians of that time, the Louis Armstrongs, we go down the list.
Yeah.
If you look, from that horrific, light, all of us facing death and a world war at the same time, and now we got two wars going on at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And we just got off a pandemic, and there's other little crazy little, germs working its way all over the world. It's like from that, Phoenix from the ashes can be some great creative stuff.
Sure.
And I think Kelly really wrote a really great script that, and it's so funny, the Amazon executive's like, I remember when he walked into our office during COVID, we're all wearing masks, and he did his pitch, and he talked about this neighborhood in El Segundo that, they try to compete with each other, and it just kind of gets out of hand. And then it's like, and Eddie Murphy is the dad. It's like, he vindictive, and he's trying to, he wants to win, and he wants to, show to his kids what it's like to, to be a winner in life,
Yeah.
and just want to live,
So yeah.
And so again, I think it's just coming at a really good time,
Absolutely.
It's one of those things where I feel like, again, the irony is I was at the exact same theater I was for my last big huge premiere, which was Spencer Confidential,
Right.
and that movie, like, we did that premiere, and then the fucking world went indoors. Like, the world, when it, like, hunkered, that the entire planet went indoors.
Yeah.
And that movie is only like 87 minutes long, but like people watched it like 300 hours worth of that.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was like everybody could watch it, and it's a feel good movie. And so you're like, again, I'm feeling so fortunate that it's coming at a time where everybody's like, this is what we need right now.